Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Porter Says podcast with your only host, Heath. The only host that's a part of this show. Alright, so just like last time, I kind of want to try and get straight into everything. So I don't want to make this video as long as the last one. I mean, I guess that's what the magic of editing is. I feel like I have a lot to talk about because I wrote in my little notebook here, I wrote a lot of stuff that I kind of want to get out. So I will be reviewing two things most likely. Two things at the end of this episode. I'm going to leave them to the end. So I'll be reviewing Captain America Brave New World because I saw that last week. And I will be reviewing Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 3. So stay tuned to the end of the episode if you want to hear about both. If you just want to hear about one, I'm sorry, you can go and listen to reviews for either one. But if you want to listen for both, then stay tuned to the end. Of course, movies that I watched. And then a thing I literally wrote, I think it was Tuesday. Or something, I don't know. Like a day or two ago, as of recording this. I decided to talk about some of my favorite albums. I wrote about, 6, 7 here, I think, that I kind of want to, talk about. Not go in depth, really. Maybe on a couple of them, just not all, because again, I don't want this video to be as long as the last one, if I'm honest. So I hope you enjoyed the last one. I actually thought that was one of my better ones. So let's get straight to it. I know it's like really unprofessional for me to be looking at a notebook and going, but I haven't gotten to a point where I just can memorize something in my head, when it comes to this type of stuff, I have to write it down and know what I'm talking about. It just depends on what it is, I guess. So now the first two are my top 2 albums ever, but then the rest are just kind of ones that I went through on my Spotify page or whatever and just kind of picked what albums I really like and the ones I listen to the most. So the top 2 are Thriller by Michael Jackson, of course. I'm not going to go into all that stuff about, Michael Jackson, as a person. Like, I feel like there's billions of videos about that. I'm just specifically talking about him as an artist, like a musical artist. And Thriller is up there, really, as my favorite album. The song Thriller alone makes it one of the best albums of all time, and it is the highest grossing album ever. Like, it sold, I don't even know how many copies, but there is no album that has come out since then, whether it was one of his or another artist, that has topped that. At least that I'm aware of, so it's kind of one of those things that just can't be topped. But, there's other songs like Billie Jean, Beat It, The Girl Is Mine, the song he did with Paul McCartney. We'll be kind of talking about him very soon, actually. So, ever since I was a kid, his music has just meant a lot to me. Yeah, I just think every song on there is pretty great, with Thriller, the song of Thriller being the best one. But Billie Jean comes pretty close. I think that's a very iconic music video. Alright, cool. That's that. And then Divide by Ed Sheeran. That's my second favorite album of all time. If you saw my Ed Sheeran video, you know that I kind of already gushed over how much I love him. Now, he, on the other hand, as a person and as an artist, is just like one of the most genuine people ever. I mean, I've never met him personally. I went to his concert a couple of years ago now, and it was one of my favorite concerts ever. And I haven't been to that many. It's only been in the last 3 or 4 years that I've gone to these concerts, and I've just had a lot of fun. But Divide, for me, it's not every single song on there that is like the best, but I think Perfect and Castle on the Hill on there, I just adore those songs specifically. But he's got so many good ones on there. Supermarket Flowers, I think, is on that one. Yeah, it is. It has to be. I should know this. If it's my second favorite album of all time, I should know this. But I'm pretty confident that it is. But yes, those 2 or 3 songs specifically, really on that album, and I really like with how he went with like the mathematical style for these albums. It was probably like it was a very unique style to go for with albums. You don't really see too many like that. You really don't. So I just think that, you know, those 2 specific albums and you know, Castle on the Hill specifically, you know, and Perfect, those were in competition for the bracket in one of the episodes, and obviously it's very tough to choose. I think Castle on the Hill did win, but, you know, Perfect could have easily won. It just depended on what day you ask me. Yeah. So I don't want to go in depth again on all these albums because we'll be here forever, I feel like. Maybe I'm just not very good at going in depth when it comes to music. I mean, that's part of this podcast. I wanted to talk about music more, and that's why I'm doing this. So, yeah. And then, so, yeah, the rest of these albums are just kind of, you know, ones that I really, really like. And kind of just want to talk about for a little bit, you know, kind of do a music segment. Because I feel like I don't do enough of those. I feel like most of this podcast is just film and TV. And it's only been maybe a couple of episodes where I've talked about music. And I'm trying to make more for the people who want to listen to my music opinions. Like, there was a comment on my very first episode from Performance Craft. I hope you're still watching. I really do. I really appreciate that comment. Who said wanted me to break down some music videos, and I haven't done that yet. I guess just because there's been so much else I want to talk about, I just haven't really found a music video or music videos that I want to break down and talk about. It's kind of hard to find ones that you can break down, I guess. Yeah. Abbey Road by the Beatles. The Beatles were my top artist of 2024 on Spotify. If any artist was gonna, you know, dethrone Michael Jackson or Ed Sheeran as my top artist, I'm glad it was the Beatles. I saw Paul McCartney in concert last year. I think towards the end of last year. I think. Hold on. No, it wasn't the end of last year. No. The year before, sorry. 2023. And watching him perform for 3 hours, no opening act, just him for 2.5, 3 hours, was incredible. Just getting to see a Beatle, you know, alone on stage and in concert, like live, was just a dream for me. I remember one of my best mates got me into the Beatles, and I haven't really gone back on them since. And Abbey Road specifically has so many good songs. Like, Here Comes the Sun. I'm trying to think. I just said so many. I think Octopus Garden's on there. Something. You know, just countless songs, really. The entire album is so good. I adore it. Come Together, that's also another one. I think Michael Jackson did a cover of that later on. But yeah, no, I mean, the Beatles just, they're something else for me. They're one of my they might be my favorite band, really. I mean, Queen's pretty up there, but I think the Beatles, I just kind of like their style and music more, because I just love how chill and relaxed they are. A lot of their songs are quite out there. You know, Octopus Garden's definitely out there. I think they were clearly on drugs when they wrote these songs. And yeah, so Abbey Road is definitely up there for sure. Yeah. And now this next album, I just kind of put both together because it's like, I just figured why wouldn't I? So it's Singular Acts 1 and 2 by Sabrina Carpenter. Now she's kind of, maybe it's just me, only kind of, I mean, I started listening to her back in 2020, because I'd watched the show that she was in, Girl Meets World, on Disney, on Disney Plus. And then from that point on, I found her music, and while I found her to be popular, it's really in this last year or two that she's just skyrocketed. And these two albums in particular, even though they don't really connect to each other, I just felt the need, like they're Singular Act 1 and Singular Act 2. One of my favorite songs is Thumbs on there, on one of them, and then on Purpose, Paris, Almost Love. There's just, those songs for me, I really became obsessed with those ones in particular. And just her in general, like she's very talented in my opinion. Like I want to see her in more movie roles. And I feel like I want to see maybe do another like TV show role. I don't think I've seen her in a TV show for a while. Not that I don't think. Maybe there's a show out there I just haven't watched. So I don't know. But those two albums in particular are great. But yeah, I thought her latest album, Short and Sweet, there we go. I thought that was a great album. Probably not my favorite though. But no, not. I wouldn't say that. But I definitely prefer Singular Act 1 and 2 for sure. So yeah, that's that. When We Fall Asleep by Billie Eilish. It's a much longer title, but I could not be bothered writing the entire title down. Billie Eilish for me. I'm seeing her in a couple of days. I'm very, very excited. I saw her back in 2022 in concert, and it was fantastic. It was just me. I was by myself. This time I'm actually going with someone. But this album was back in 2019, and I feel like this was even when I saw that she was becoming more popular, and I listened to this album. My mate was like, he was listening to it. I'm just like, oh, okay, this is the type of music he likes to listen to. Let's give it a listen and see if it's as bad as it's going to be. I thought it was going to be really bad music. I thought she was going to suck, which is very harsh. But I ended up listening to the whole album, and I was just like, I was telling my mate, he's like, I think we have a fan. And by the time, because he was seeing her in concert then, and I was like, damn, it's too late. Tickets were probably already sold, and if there were tickets, they were probably pretty bad. So I was disappointed I didn't get to see her back then, because I had become a very late fan, I guess, in a way. But seeing her in 2022, had so much fun. But this album, man, it's kind of unhinged in a way. Like the song "Strange Addiction" has like audio of The Office. If I ever got the chance to meet her or something, or even have her on the podcast, which is very, very unlikely, to have any celebrity on here, I guess, obviously. But if I had her on here, or if I got to meet her and ask her questions, I would love to know why she was using, or what was the thought process of, going through her head, why she wanted to use audio clips from The Office, which I found quite interesting. I think this is probably if it's on here, it's my favorite album out of the three she's released. Her latest one, Hit Me Hard and Soft, that's the name of her tour. So I have a feeling that her concert, when I see it this in a couple of days, will most likely be songs from that album. But I really hope I get to hear some of the older classics, just like I did last time. But it's always fun when they play some of their newer stuff and not just the old stuff you've heard a billion times. So, yeah. I think the album is very dark and kind of creepy, and unhinged in a way, but I love it nonetheless. Now, this album actually that I'm talking about now, these last two, I actually just listened to them. Well, I nearly finished one of them, but I just finished one of them yesterday. I have Let Go by Avril Lavigne. Avril Lavigne, the epitome of like early 2000s girl punk rock music. She defined that. I think she did. I think she was the one who defined it. She was just, and still is, one of my favorite female artists ever. I love, not every single song, but a lot of them I really do like Skater Boy, Complicated, My World, even like some of her like later stuff that got a bit like kind of like drifted away from the punk rock stuff, like Girlfriend and all that stuff. Like, hey, like, I don't like your girlfriend, I think you need a new one, that song. No, I'm not singing. If you thought I was going to sing, then no. Although if you do want to hear me sing one day on the podcast, let me know. Probably shouldn't have said that. But yeah, so I have listened to this album a few times, but I felt like just kind of getting another bit of like a refresh. I haven't finished it, but it's up there, man. I just love that early 2000s stuff. Like, I was born in the year of 2000. Like, I grew up in that era. So, and I heard her music a lot. One of my favorite songs on that album for sure, though, is I'm With You. And then Tomorrow is also another great one. I think those two, I feel like, don't get talked about enough. I feel like when everybody goes to this album, or just goes to Avril Lavigne in general, they always think of Skater Boy or Complicated. No one ever really goes for... no one ever goes for those two songs in particular. Not that I've heard of. So, yeah. And the last one is Forgiven, Not Forgotten by The Cause, which is an Irish band. Now, this is very nostalgic for me, because I remember listening to the CD so many times in the car. Like, a lot. Even, like, on the way to school. And like every time I listen to it, it just like brings back so many memories for me. A lot of memories come flooding back of listening to it in the car. I think I would love to see them live. I think they are coming, but I don't know if the tickets are still available or something. But I would love to see them live in concert, because just like the instrumental songs on that album specifically are so good, and I could listen to them. I could just listen to I really hope there is like a whole album of their instrumental stuff. If there isn't, there needs to be, because I could listen to it like forever. It is so good. Porter's asleep, by the way. Should have put him out to bed. Oh well. So yeah, The Cause, man. I think they're pretty underrated. I really, really do. I think if you haven't listened to their music, go ahead and do it. Just leave this podcast, listen to their music, come back and let me know how you like it. Okay, how far am I into this? Okay, right. Last thing I want to mention before I get to the two big reviews. I haven't done a second Patreon episode. I know the last one went up like a good month ago. It's been a while. It's just I've been trying to come up like which franchise I'm going to be talking about next. It'll either be the Spider-Man series, like of all the films of like Raimi's, the Andrew Garfield ones, the Tom Holland's, and the Spider-Verse films. Yeah. So I don't know yet. But I will keep you guys updated, of course. Okay, I'm just going to kind of speed run through the movies. So, I got Riptide. Riptide is a movie with Debbie Ryan. Very similar plot to Swimming for Gold with Peyton List, except Riptide came out first. Girl gets kind of somewhat embarrassed on social media, and she heads off to Australia to kind of, find herself. But I think Debbie Ryan's in this movie is a model. So she kind of goes off to Australia to see her aunt, who is also like from New York, which is where Debbie Ryan's character is from. And, she's got like the mother who's like somewhat controlling and stuff like that. It's not that great of a movie, if I'm completely honest. It's a very average, like 2.5 stars out of 5 film. But like Swimming for Gold, I feel the need to watch it every year because it's nice to see it. Nice to see Australian locations. 10 Things I Hate About You. I watched that on Valentine's Day, actually, on at nighttime. One of my favorite romantic films ever. It is for sure up there. I think Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles are excellent as the leads. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is great. Just like everybody does a good job. Kat and Bianca's father is played by Larry Miller, I think his name is, and he was the principal in the 2001 Disney movie that no one remembers for kind of a good reason, but I do because I think it's amazingly bad. Max Keeble's Big Move. He was the principal in that. If anybody remembers that, I would be very shocked. Yeah, Max Keeble. Yeah, maybe. You know what? That movie's just kind of, that's a whole thing. But no, 10 Things I Hate About You is just, it's so well done. Full of the romantic cliches, but I kind of like how I said, like A Walk to Remember. They're done well. Yeah. Cool. Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man Far From Home. I watched those two on the same day because going through the Spider-Man movies in order, the cinema isn't playing the Spider-Verse films. I thought, even though they said live action, but I'm like, you could have sprinkled the Spider-Verse movies in there. Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse is so good. Just one of my favorite animated movies ever. And then Spider-Man Far From Home is so fun. Like, that movie gets a lot of hate, and I don't fully understand why. Yeah, I'm like, the plot around it's a bit wonky and stuff like that, but I think the Mysterio illusion scenes is great. I think the final action sequence is so much fun, and it actually kind of looks really nice. Kind of. I mean, yeah, all the drone stuff is pretty stupid, but other than that, I think it's a really fun movie, but I'll go in more depth when I do a Patreon episode on them. So now, on to the main event. The 2 reviews. I'm going to talk about Captain America Brave New World first. Captain America Brave New World was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I thought Anthony Mackie was great as the lead role. It was nice to see him finally get his solo outing. I hope we get to see a little bit more of him and maybe another solo movie, although this movie isn't doing super well in the box office and it's not doing well critically. But the audience response seems to be somewhat positive, but I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, it's not perfect and it takes a while. It does take a little bit to get going, and it's not as good as the other Captain America movies. It tries to kind of recapture the essence of Winter Soldier and doesn't do it as well. It feels much more like an Incredible Hulk sequel. That is one thing. I probably should have rewatched Incredible Hulk. Just letting you know, if you do ever end up seeing the movie, I'd recommend maybe brushing up. I definitely should have. But I thought Harrison Ford was really good. He did a really good job as President Ross. I will mention just one big spoiler. It's not a spoiler to say that Red Hulk is in this movie because they pretty much spoiled him in all of the trailers. Bucky, the Winter Soldier, Bucky himself shows up for a few minutes in a scene, which was really cool because they obviously had their own show on Disney Plus, and I thought, is he going to be in this movie at all? And he wasn't, and then he shows up. I'm like, that's cool. It was nice to see those two together because I really liked their their like banter in Civil War, and it's kind of continued on since then. So it was really nice to see a scene between them. I thought all the action sequences were pretty solid. I think the final one was by far the best. It was really cool to finally see, after like a long time, like an angry Hulk smashing stuff, which was really cool. Yeah, but overall it was a really good movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed it. Not a perfect movie, but definitely one of the better outings of the MCU, I'd say. Now, the big one, that Sid would say from Toy Story, the big one. Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 3. Man, I don't know what to even say. This video is like 30 minutes. Okay. I have so much. I feel like I have a lot to talk about. Cobra Kai, man. In my opinion, the best series finale I've seen in a while. It wrapped up so many stories. It was a little messy in the first episode or two. Like, it took a little bit to kind of get going, but it locks in, man. It is by far the best of the 3 parts. Each part got better and better for me. Just everything just comes full circle. So many, like, a nice redemption arc for Kreese. And it's cool to see Johnny's story, come to an end. And I just... it meant so much to me. I cried 5 times, man. But there was one scene, it's in the very last episode, where Samantha LaRusso, she gets accepted into somewhere in Okinawa. And she says, I'm going away there. I'm going there. And the final scene in the airport with her brother, Anthony, Amanda, and Daniel. It starts off and I'm like, oh, okay. And then goes on, and then when Daniel starts speaking to her, I full on bawled. Or close to it. I was like, oh my god, this is a show about karate. Why am I crying? Why am I crying at this? It was so nice to see Robbie and Tori finally get their happy, for them to end up being happy and together. Miguel and Tori winning the Saikai Taikai, and Johnny winning, the Saikai Taikai as well. It was just everything about this part, man. And as a whole, Cobra Kai as a series for me has just been one of my favorites for so long. I literally, as soon as it hit 7 p.m., I just was like, where is it? And I was just on the edge of my seat. The scene with Robbie fighting Axel was so intense. And when he gets his knee broken, the, scream that he lets out of just like, oh my god, it was so realistic. So realistic. Oh my god, Cobra Kai, man. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to cut it a bit short. My computer is currently about to lose its charge. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Porter Says podcast with your host and only host, Heath, of course. If this felt a bit rushed, I'm so sorry. And if it ends up being as long as the last one, I'm also sorry. But I hope you enjoy it. And I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.